Welcome to my channel. Have you ever felt that you study English every day, but still you cannot speak? What if I show you a real daily routine that can slowly change your English from silent to confident, step by step, starting today? Stay with me and watch this video until the end, because this simple routine can truly change the way you speak English. Chapter 1: The Day I Stopped Waiting and Started Practicing. I remember a time when I knew so many English words, but I could not speak even one full sentence. It felt strange. It felt heavy inside my chest. Every day I told myself, I will start tomorrow. Every day I said I need more vocabulary first. Every day I waited for the perfect moment. But that moment never came. Maybe you feel the same. You watch videos, you understand a little, you learn new words, but when it is time to speak, your mind becomes silent. Your heart beats fast, your mouth stops, and you say nothing. This was my reality. I was learning, but I was not using. I was preparing, but I was not practicing. And slowly I started feeling tired. Not because English is hard, but because I was not moving forward. I used to sit and think, why can I understand, but I cannot speak? I compared myself with others. I saw people speaking simple English, and I felt something inside me. Not jealousy, but a quiet sadness. I knew I could do it too, but I was stuck. I was trapped in thinking, not doing. I was waiting for confidence before speaking. But I did not understand one important truth. Confidence does not come before action. Confidence comes after action. And this one truth changed my life. One day, something very simple happened. I was alone in my room. No teacher, no audience, no pressure, just me. And I asked myself a very honest question. What am I waiting for? I stayed silent for a few seconds. Then the answer came. I was waiting to feel ready, but I was never going to feel ready. That was the moment everything started changing. Not a big moment, not a loud moment, a quiet, powerful moment. I decided that I will stop waiting. I will start now. Not perfect, not big, just small. So I tried something very simple. I said one sentence, just one. I am sitting. That's it. It was not perfect, it was not impressive, but it was real. For the first time, I was not just learning English. I was using English. And something amazing happened. I did not feel fear. I did not feel pressure. I felt free. It was a small sentence, but it gave me a big feeling. A feeling that I can do this. A feeling that maybe I don't need to wait anymore. From that day, I made a very small rule for myself. One sentence every day. Not 10 sentences. Not 1 hour. Just one sentence. Because I understood something very powerful. Big goals can feel heavy, but small actions feel easy. And easy actions can be done every day. And when you do something every day, it becomes a habit. And when it becomes a habit, it becomes your life. At first, it felt a little strange. I was speaking alone. I was making simple sentences. Sometimes I forgot words. Sometimes I stopped in the middle. But I did not quit. Because now I was not waiting for perfect English. I was building real English. Slowly, step by step. Like a small plant growing every day. You don't see the growth in one day. But after many days, you see something beautiful. There was one moment I will never forget. I was again alone, and I said a sentence without thinking too much. I am opening the window. It came naturally. Not fast, not perfect, but natural. And I stopped for a second. I smiled. I felt proud. It was such a small thing, but it felt big inside my heart. Because that sentence was not from memory. It was from me. That was the moment I understood. Progress is not loud. Progress is quiet, but it is powerful. I also understood something very important. You do not need to know everything to start speaking. You just need a few words. You just need courage to begin. Many learners think, I will speak when I know more. But the truth is different. You will know more when you start speaking. Speaking is not the result of learning. Speaking is part of learning. And maybe right now, As you are listening to me, you are thinking, this is my story. Maybe you are also waiting. Maybe you are also learning, but not speaking. Maybe you also feel that small fear inside. And I want to tell you something very honestly. You are not wrong. You are just stuck in waiting. And the way out is very simple. Start small. Do not wait for the perfect time. Do not wait for perfect grammar. Do not wait for confidence. Start with one sentence. Today. Right now. Say something simple. I am here. I am learning. I will try. These are not just sentences. These are steps. And these steps will take you forward. Because the day you stop waiting is the day your real learning begins. The day you speak your first sentence is the day your journey becomes real. And from that day, everything starts changing. Slowly, quietly, but surely. This is how my journey started. Not with big knowledge, not with perfect English, but with one small sentence. And that one sentence changed everything. Chapter 2. My Morning English Habit. Every morning used to start the same way. I woke up, reached for my phone, and started scrolling without thinking. Minutes passed, sometimes even an hour, and my mind felt full but empty at the same time. I told myself I would practice English later in the day, but later never felt like the right time. I was always tired, busy, or distracted. Then one day I made a small change, a very small change that looked simple, but it changed everything. I decided that for the first 5 minutes of my day, I would not touch my phone. I would not check messages. I would not open social media. I would give those 5 minutes to English. The first morning felt different, quiet, a little uncomfortable. I sat on my bed and did not know what to say. My mind was slow. My voice felt shy. But I remembered my rule. Just one sentence. So I took a deep breath and said, I am awake. It sounded simple, almost too simple, but it was real. Then I said, I am sitting. Then, I am starting my day. These small sentences were not just words, they were actions, they were my life, in English. And something very interesting started happening. My brain slowly began to connect English with my real world. You see, when we learn English from books only, it stays far from us. It feels like a subject. It feels like something outside our life. But when you say, I am drinking water, while you are actually drinking water, something powerful happens. English becomes real. English becomes part of your life. And your brain understands it faster, deeper, and more naturally. That is why these simple I am sentences are so powerful. They are easy, they are real, and they are always available. After a few days, I added one more step. I stood in front of the mirror. At first, I felt very strange. I looked at myself and tried to speak, but I could not hold my eye contact. I smiled in a funny way. I even laughed. It felt uncomfortable, like I was doing something wrong. Maybe you will feel the same when you try this. And that is okay. That feeling means you are doing something new. That feeling means you are growing. So I did not stop. I kept it simple. I looked at myself and said, I am learning English. Then I paused. Then I said, I am not afraid. Even if I still felt a little afraid, I said it again. Slowly, clearly, gently. I was not trying to speak fast. I was not trying to be perfect. I was just trying to be present, to be real, to be honest. Day by day, something changed. That strange feeling started becoming normal. That shy voice started becoming stronger. One morning, I stood in front of the mirror, looked into my eyes, and spoke without laughing, without looking away. I said, I can do this. And for the first time, I believed it. That was a powerful moment. Not loud, not dramatic, but deep. Because I was not just speaking English. I was speaking to myself. I was building trust with myself. These 5 minutes started changing my whole day. Before, English was something I planned to do later. Now, English became the first thing I did. It became part of my identity. And when you start your day with something, Your brain stays connected to it. During the day, I found myself thinking small sentences in English without forcing it, because my mind was already in that mode, already open, already ready. I also noticed something else. My confidence started growing, not because I learned big grammar rules, but because I practiced small, real sentences every day. I was not waiting anymore. I was doing. And doing creates belief. Even 5 minutes can create belief. Even 5 minutes can change direction. Many people think they need 1 hour, 2 hours, a perfect plan. But the truth is simple. You need a start. And the morning is the best time to start. Your mind is fresh. Your thoughts are calm. There is less noise. And what you do in those first minutes can shape your whole day. So imagine this. Tomorrow morning, you wake up. You do not touch your phone. You sit up, take a deep breath, and say, I am awake. Then you stand, look into the mirror, and say, I am ready. Maybe your voice is slow, maybe your words are simple, but they are yours. And that is what matters. You do not need perfect English in the morning. You just need honest English, real English, your English. Because these 5 minutes are not just practice, they are a message to your brain. A message that says, English is part of my life. And when your brain starts believing this, everything starts changing. Slowly, naturally, beautifully. This is how my mornings changed. And this is how my English started becoming real. Hey, Chapter 3. Talking to myself. Throughout the day. After I started my morning habit, something very interesting began to happen. English did not stay only in those 5 minutes anymore. It slowly followed me into the rest of my day. At first, I did not plan this. It just happened naturally. I was walking one day, and without thinking too much, I said in my mind, I am walking. It felt simple. It felt calm. Then I looked around and said, I see people. I see cars. I see the road. These were not big sentences, but they were real. And for the first time, English was not just a practice time. It was becoming part of my life. Before this, my day was silent in English. I only thought in my own language. Even if I knew English words, I did not use them. My mind was quiet when it came to English. But now, slowly, my mind started speaking. Not loud, not fast, but steady. And that changed everything. Because speaking is not only with your mouth, it starts in your mind. When your mind begins to form sentences, your voice will follow one day. So I made a small decision. I will talk to myself in English during simple daily activities. Not all the time, not perfectly, just small moments. When I open the door, I say, I am opening the door. When I drink water, I say, I am drinking water. When I sit, I say, I am sitting. These sentences look very easy, maybe too easy, but they are very powerful, because they train your brain to think directly in English, without translating. At first, I spoke slowly. Sometimes I stopped in the middle. Sometimes I forgot a word, but I did not feel fear. And this is the most important part. There was no one to judge me, no one to laugh, no one to correct me. It was just me. And in that space, I was free. Free to try, free to make mistakes, free to grow. This freedom is something many learners never experience. They only try to speak in front of others, and then fear comes, pressure comes. But when you speak to yourself, there is no pressure. You can take your time. You can repeat. You can think. You can try again. This is where real confidence begins. Not in front of people, but inside yourself. I remember one moment very clearly. I was eating food, and I started describing everything in English. I am eating rice. It is hot. It tastes good. I smiled a little. Not because it was funny, but because it felt new. It felt like I was discovering something simple but powerful. I was using English in my real life, not in a book, not in a classroom, and that gave me a different kind of confidence, a quiet confidence. Slowly, my sentences became a little longer, not because I forced them, but because they came naturally. I am sitting and eating my food. I feel relaxed. I am thinking about my day. It was not perfect grammar. It was not advanced English, but it was mine, and that is what matters most. Your English does not need to be perfect to be powerful. It just needs to be real. Another beautiful thing happened. My fear started disappearing. Before, when I thought about speaking English, I felt nervous. But now, I was speaking every day, many times, in small ways. So English was no longer something scary. It became normal, like walking, like breathing. And when something becomes normal, fear has no place to stay. I also noticed that my mind became faster. Before, I had to think a lot before saying anything. Now, small sentences came quickly. Not always, but sometimes. And those moments felt amazing, because I could see my progress. I could feel that I was changing. And maybe right now you are thinking, can I do this too? The answer is yes. You do not need anything special. You do not need a partner. You do not need a perfect plan. You just need awareness. You just need to start noticing your actions and putting them into simple English sentences. You are walking, say, I am walking. You are opening your phone, say, I am opening my phone. You are thinking, say, I am thinking. That's it. Simple, real, powerful. And the best part is, you can start right now, not tomorrow, not later, right now. As you are listening to this, you can say in your mind, I am listening. That is your first step. That is your start. Because the truth is very simple. When you talk to yourself, you are not alone. You are building your English voice. And one day, that voice will not stay inside. It will come out. Strong, clear, and confident. I was once silent, completely silent in English. But now, my mind has a voice. And that voice started with small, simple sentences, spoken to myself, throughout the day. Chapter 4. Listening like a learner, not just watching. For a long time, I thought I was practicing English because I watched many videos. Every day, I opened YouTube, played English content, and told myself, I am learning. I spent hours watching. I enjoyed it. I understood some parts. But something was missing. When I tried to speak, nothing came out. My mind was empty. That was confusing. I was watching so much, but I was not improving in speaking. And then one day, I realized a simple but powerful truth. Watching is not the same as learning. Listening is not the same as training. Before, I was just watching like entertainment. My mind was relaxed. I did not focus deeply. I did not stop. I did not repeat. I just let the video play. It felt easy, but it was not effective. Then, I decided to change one small thing. I stopped watching fast. I started listening slowly. The first time I tried this, it felt very different. I played a short sentence, just one. Then I paused. I listened again. I tried to hear every word, not just understand the meaning, but hear the sound, the way the speaker said it, the rhythm, the feeling. Then I repeated it, slowly, not perfectly, but carefully. Then again, and again. This was not easy at first. It felt slow. It felt like I was doing less. But in reality, I was doing more. I began to notice sounds I never noticed before. Small changes in pronunciation, the way words connect, the way sentences flow. English was not just words anymore. It was sound. It was music. And I started copying that music. Then I discovered something very powerful: shadowing. It sounds like a big word, but it is very simple. You listen, and you speak at the same time. You follow the speaker like a shadow. At first, I could not keep up. The speaker was fast. My tongue was slow. I missed words. I felt lost. But I did not stop. I kept trying. Slowly, my mouth started moving with the sound. Not perfect, but closer. This changed everything. Because now I was not just listening. I was speaking with the speaker. My brain, my ears, and my mouth were working together. And when all three work together, learning becomes strong, natural, deep. There was one moment I will never forget. I was listening to a simple sentence. I played it again and again. Then suddenly, without trying to translate, I understood it directly. No thinking in my first language. No delay. Just clear understanding. I stopped the audio and sat quietly for a second. I felt something new, something exciting. It was like a small light turned on inside my mind. That was the moment I realized. This is how English starts becoming natural. Before this, I always translated. Every word had to pass through my first language. That made everything slow, heavy. But now, for the first time, I understood directly. And that feeling was powerful. It gave me confidence. It showed me that I was moving forward. I also understood something very important. Listening is not just hearing sounds, it is training your brain. When you listen carefully, pause, repeat, and copy, you are teaching your brain how English really works. Not from rules, but from experience, from real sound, from real usage. Many learners make one common mistake. They think more watching means more learning. But that is not true. 10 minutes of focused listening is more powerful than 1 hour of passive watching, because focus creates change, repetition creates memory, and action creates progress. Now, my listening became different. I chose short audios, simple sentences. I listened with attention. I paused, I repeated, I shadowed. Sometimes I felt slow, but I did not care, because I knew I was building something strong, step by step. And maybe right now, you are realizing something. Maybe you are thinking, I have been watching, but not really listening. And that is okay. This is not a mistake. This is just a stage. And now you know the next step. You do not need to change everything. Just change how you listen. Take one sentence. Listen carefully. Pause. Repeat. Try shadowing. Feel the sound. Enjoy the process. It is not about speed. It is about connection. Because the day you stop just watching and start truly listening, that is the day your English begins to change. Slowly, deeply, and beautifully. Chapter 5: My Simple Vocabulary System. For a long time I believed that learning English vocabulary meant memorizing long lists of difficult words. Every day I tried to learn new words from books and apps. I wrote them down. I repeated them again and again. But after some time, I forgot most of them. And even when I remembered a word, I could not use it in a sentence. It stayed in my notebook, not in my life. That was frustrating. I felt like I was working hard, but not moving forward. Then one day, I asked myself a very simple question. Why am I learning words that I never use? That question changed everything. I realized that I was learning English in a way that was not connected to my real life. I was learning random words, not useful words. And from that moment, I decided to change my system completely. I stopped memorizing long lists. I stopped chasing difficult words. And I started looking around me. My room became my classroom. My daily life became my lesson. I looked at simple things: table, phone, water, door, chair, window. These were not big words, but they were everywhere. They were part of my life. And I realized something powerful. If I learn the words I use every day, I will use them again and again. And when you use a word again and again, it becomes yours. So I started small. I looked at my phone and said, "This is my phone." Then I added more. I am holding my phone. I am using my phone. My phone is in my hand. One word, many sentences. That was my new system. Simple, but powerful. Because I was not just learning the word phone, I was learning how to use it in real life. Then I did the same with water. This is water. I am drinking water. The water is cold. Again, simple sentences, but each sentence made the word stronger in my mind. I did not need to force myself to remember. It stayed naturally because I used it. Slowly, I began to enjoy this process. It did not feel like studying anymore. It felt like living in English. Every object around me became a chance to learn. The door was not just a door, it became I am opening the door. The chair was not just a chair, it became I am sitting on the chair. My life and my English started connecting. There was one moment that made me feel very proud. I was doing something simple, and I described it in English without thinking too much. The words came naturally, not big words, not difficult sentences, just simple English. But it was real, and I felt happy. Because for the first time, I was not trying to impress anyone. I was expressing myself. Before this, I thought speaking good English meant using big words. But now I understood the truth. Simple words, used correctly and regularly, are much more powerful than difficult words that you never use. Real communication is not about showing how much you know. It is about saying what you feel, clearly and naturally. I also noticed that my confidence was growing. Because I was using English every day, in small ways. I was not waiting for a big moment. I was creating small moments. And these small moments added up, day by day, word by word, sentence by sentence. And the best part is, this system is very easy. You do not need a big book. You do not need a long list. You just need your environment. Look around you right now. You can start immediately. Say, "This is my table. I am sitting. I am learning." These are your words, your life, your English. Many learners feel that vocabulary is hard, that they need to remember hundreds of words. But the truth is simple. You need a few words that you can use every day. And when you use them again and again, they grow with you. They become strong. They become natural. So do not make vocabulary heavy. Make it real. Make it simple. Make it part of your daily life. Because when words connect with your life, they stay in your mind. And when they stay in your mind, they come out when you speak. This is how I changed my vocabulary learning. Not by learning more words, but by using the right words. Real words. Simple words. My words. And that is when English started feeling easy. Chapter 6. Making Mistakes Without Fear. For a long time, my biggest problem was not vocabulary, not grammar, not even pronunciation. My biggest problem was fear. A quiet fear that stayed inside me every time I wanted to speak. I was afraid of making mistakes. I was afraid of saying something wrong. I was afraid that people would think I am not good enough. And because of this fear, I chose silence. I stayed quiet, even when I knew something. I stopped myself, even before trying. Maybe you know this feeling. You have a sentence in your mind, but you do not say it. You think too much. You check every word. You try to make it perfect. And in the end, you say nothing. I remember many moments like this. Someone asked a simple question. I understood it. I even knew the answer, but I did not speak. My mind was busy checking grammar, thinking about mistakes, trying to be correct. And while I was thinking, the moment passed. The conversation moved on, and I stayed silent again. After that, I felt bad, not because I did not know English, but because I did not try. That feeling slowly became heavy. I was learning, but I was not using, and deep inside I knew something was wrong. One day I asked myself another honest question. Why am I so afraid of mistakes? And the answer was simple. I thought mistakes mean failure. I thought if I speak wrong English, it means I am not good. But then I started seeing things differently. I noticed something very important. Every time I learned something new, it came after a mistake. Every time I improved, it started with something wrong. So how can mistakes be bad if they help me grow? That was my turning point. I made a small but powerful decision. I will speak, even if I am wrong. I will try, even if my sentence is not perfect. I will not wait for perfect English anymore. I will create real English, step by step. The first time I did this, it was not easy. I spoke a sentence, and I knew it was not correct. I felt that old fear coming back. My heart felt a little fast. My mind said, "Stop, this is wrong." But I did not stop. I continued. I finished my sentence. It was not perfect, but it was complete. And after that, something surprising happened. Nothing bad happened. No one laughed. No one stopped me. The world stayed normal. But inside me, something changed. I felt strong. Not because my English was perfect, but because I did not stop myself. I allowed myself to speak. And that gave me a new kind of confidence. A confidence that does not come from knowing everything, but from trying anyway. From that day, I started speaking more freely. I made many mistakes. Sometimes my sentences were broken. Sometimes I used the wrong word. Sometimes I stopped and tried again. But I did not feel the same fear anymore. Because now I understood the truth. Mistakes are not my enemy. They are my teachers. Every mistake showed me something. Every wrong sentence helped me learn a better one. And slowly, my English started improving. Not in one day, not in 1 week, but slowly, naturally, because I was finally using it. There was one moment that felt very powerful. I was speaking, and I made a mistake in the middle of my sentence. I noticed it. I felt it. But instead of stopping, I continued. I finished my thought. I corrected myself gently and moved on. That moment felt like a breakthrough, because before, one mistake would stop me completely, but now, one mistake could not control me. This is when I truly understood something important. Fluency does not come from perfect grammar. It comes from continuous speaking. It comes from expressing your thoughts, even if they are not perfect. Real communication is not about being correct all the time. It is about being clear, being brave, and being real. Many learners are stuck in the same place I was. They are waiting to become perfect before they speak. But perfection is not the starting point. It is the result of practice, and practice always includes mistakes. Always. So if you are afraid of making mistakes, I want to tell you something from my own experience. You are not alone, and your fear is not a weakness. It is just a step. But you cannot stay on this step. You have to move forward, and the only way forward is to speak. Speak with mistakes. Speak with pauses. Speak with simple words, but speak. Because every time you speak, you break that fear a little more. Every time you try, you become stronger. And one day, you will look back and realize that the mistakes you were afraid of were actually the reason you improved. So do not wait for perfect English. Do not wait for 0 mistakes. That day will never come. Start with your imperfect English. Start with your real voice. Because fluency is not built on perfection, it is built on courage. And your journey changes the moment you choose to speak, even when you are not sure, even when you feel afraid, even when you know it is not perfect. Chapter 7. My Night Routine. The Secret Review Time. At the end of the day, when everything becomes quiet and the noise of the world slowly disappears, I found a very special moment for my English. Before, my nights were just for rest. I used my phone, watched random things, and then slept. The day ended, and I forgot everything I did. But then I added one small habit, a very simple routine that changed the way I learn and remember English. I started reviewing my day in English. The first time I tried this, I did not know what to say. I sat quietly and thought about my day. Then I started with something very simple. Today I woke up, I brushed my teeth, I had breakfast. My sentences were small, sometimes broken, sometimes slow, but they were real. They were my story. And for the first time, I was using English to talk about my life, not someone else's story, not a book, not a lesson, my own life. At first, it felt a little difficult to remember everything. I had to think more. I had to search for words. But I did not rush. I gave myself time. I spoke slowly. I repeated when needed. And every night, it became a little easier. My mind started remembering faster. My sentences became smoother. Not perfect, but better than before. Then I added one more small step. I started writing a few lines, not a full page, not a long story, just 2 or 3 sentences, simple, honest, and real. Today I learned new words. I spoke English in the morning. I feel happy. That's it. I did not think about grammar rules. I did not worry about mistakes. I just wrote what I felt. Because writing is not about being perfect. It is about expressing your thoughts. This night routine became something I looked forward to. It was like a quiet conversation with myself. A moment where I could see my progress. A moment where I could feel my growth. Some days were better than others. Some days I spoke more. Some days I struggled. But every day, I did something. And that is what matters. One night I noticed something very special. I was speaking about my day, and the sentences came more easily. I did not stop too much. I did not think too hard. I just spoke. And I paused for a moment and smiled, because I realized I am improving. Slowly, quietly, but clearly. That moment felt very powerful, not because I became fluent, but because I could see the change. This is the beauty of Night Review. It shows you your journey, day by day, step by step. You may not feel progress in one day, but when you look back after many days, you see a difference. And that gives you confidence, real confidence. I also understood something very important. When you review your day in English, you are not just speaking, you are training your memory. You are helping your brain remember words, sentences, and experiences together. This makes your learning stronger, deeper, more natural. During the day, you collect small experiences. In the morning, you speak a little. In the afternoon, you think a little. And at night, you bring everything together. You connect your day with English. And when you do this again and again, English becomes part of your daily life. And the best part is, this routine is very simple. You do not need anything special, just a few minutes, just your voice, maybe a notebook, and your day becomes your lesson. Now imagine this. Tonight, before you sleep, you sit quietly. You take a deep breath and say, "Today I woke up. I learned. I tried." Your sentences may be simple, your words may be few, but they are yours, and that is enough. Because every night you do this, you are building something. Not just language, but confidence. Not just sentences, but a habit. A habit that grows slowly, but strongly. And one day, you will realize that English is no longer something you study. It is something you live, from morning to night. This is my secret review time, and it changed everything. Chapter 8. The Day I Spoke Without Thinking. There was a day I will never forget. Not because something big happened outside, but because something changed inside me. It was a normal day, like any other day. I was not prepared. I was not practicing at that moment. I was just living my day. And then suddenly, someone asked me a simple question in English. A very normal question. Before, this kind of moment used to make me nervous. My mind would stop. I would start translating. I would feel pressure. But this time, something was different. The question came, and before I could even think about it, I answered. Quickly, naturally, without stopping, without translating. The words just came out. Simple words. Not perfect, not advanced, but clear, real, mine. And right after I spoke, I paused for a second. Not because I was confused, but because I was surprised. I looked at myself inside and thought, did I just do that? There was no fear. There was no heavy thinking. Just a smooth, natural response. And in that moment, I felt something I had never felt before. A quiet joy. A deep confidence. Not loud, not dramatic, but real. I did not become perfect in that moment. I did not suddenly speak like a native speaker. But something more important happened. I spoke without fear. I spoke without overthinking. I spoke like it was normal. And that changed everything. For a few seconds, I stayed silent after answering. But inside me there was a smile. A strong feeling that said, "You are changing." Because I remembered the old days. The days when I stayed silent. The days when I translated every word. The days when I waited too long and missed the moment. And now, this was different. Completely different. That moment did not come from one day of practice. It did not come from one video, one lesson, or one trick. It came from all the small things I did every day. My morning sentences, my mirror practice, talking to myself during the day, listening slowly, repeating, shadowing, learning simple words, making mistakes without fear, reviewing my day at night. All those small actions, which felt so simple at the time, were quietly building something inside me. And one day, without warning, it showed itself. That is how fluency works. It does not come like a big explosion. It grows quietly, slowly, like a plant. You water it every day. You take care of it. And one day, you see it has grown. Not suddenly, but surely. In that moment, I also understood something very important. Fluency is not about speaking perfectly. It is about speaking naturally. It is about expressing your thoughts without fear. It is about feeling comfortable with your own voice, even if your sentences are simple, even if they are not perfect. And the most beautiful part is this: that moment can happen to you too. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day, if you keep practicing, if you keep speaking, if you keep trying, you will face a moment like this. Someone will ask you something, and you will answer without thinking too much. And after that, you will feel the same surprise, the same joy, the same quiet confidence. And when that moment comes, you will realize that all your small efforts were not small at all. They were building something powerful inside you. So if you are still at the beginning, do not worry, do not rush, do not compare. Just continue your daily routine. Speak your small sentences. Listen carefully. Make mistakes. Try again. Trust the process. Because fluency is not a gift, it is a result of small daily actions. And when it finally shows itself, it feels almost magical. Not because it came suddenly, but because you realize you built it. Chapter 9. This routine can change your life too. Now, when I look back at my journey, I do not see one big moment that changed everything. I see many small moments. Simple actions, quiet efforts, a few minutes in the morning, a few sentences during the day, a little listening with focus, simple words from my real life, mistakes that I did not run away from, and a calm review at night. These small things looked very easy, almost too easy. But together, they created something powerful. They changed the way I learn. They changed the way I think. And slowly, they changed the way I speak. If you connect everything now, you will see a clear path. In the morning, you wake up and start your day with English. Just a few sentences. You tell your brain, this is important. During the day, you talk to yourself. You turn your normal life into English practice. Walking, eating, thinking, everything becomes part of learning. Then you listen, not like entertainment, but like a learner. You slow down. You repeat. You feel the sound. You speak with it. You build your voice. You learn words from your real life, not from random lists. You use simple words again and again until they become natural. You allow yourself to make mistakes. You speak even when it is not perfect. You grow without fear. And at night, you sit quietly and review your day. You speak. You write. You see your progress. This is not a complicated system. It is not a heavy routine. It is simple. Very simple. And that is why it works. Because you can do it every day. You do not need special tools. You do not need perfect conditions. You just need your time, your voice, and your decision. Many people think they need more time, more knowledge, more preparation. But the truth is different. You do not need perfect English to start. You need action. Daily action. Even 5 minutes is enough. Even one sentence is enough. Because what matters is not how much you do in one day. What matters is that you do something every day. I want to speak to you directly now, not as a teacher, but as someone who was once in your place. You do not need to wait anymore. You do not need to feel ready. You do not need to remove all your fear before you start. Start with your fear. Start with your simple words. Start with your real voice. Maybe your sentences are small. That is okay. Maybe your grammar is not perfect. That is okay. Maybe you feel shy. That is okay. Because all of this will change. Not in one day, but slowly, naturally, if you continue. Consistency is the real power. Not speed. Not perfection. Just showing up every day. Just trying again and again. Just speaking a little more than yesterday. This is how real progress happens. And one day, without even noticing, you will see the change. You will speak more easily. You will think more clearly. You will feel more confident. Not because you waited, but because you acted. So do not delay this moment. Do not say, I will start tomorrow. Tomorrow becomes another tomorrow. Start today. Right now. Say your first sentence. It can be very simple. I am ready. That is enough. Because the truth is very simple and very powerful. You can start today, not tomorrow. And this small decision can change your life. If you feel this routine can change your English, start today, not tomorrow. Start with just one sentence. And if you want to speak English with confidence, step by step, subscribe to this channel, like this video, and tell me in the comments, what is the first sentence you will speak today?